Welcome to Automotive World, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Vinny Mystery, and we are back. We have some huge recall news following also our news of Toyota's recall with the Prius and Prius Prime. We've been seeing a big uptake in recalls recently, especially in the last few years. I know it's like one of the big things right now is just everybody's seeing recall news. This is a really big recall coming out of Ford. We're going to do a little bit of a deep dive on it. I'm going to give a little bit of my opinions on it at the end. Just my opinions on all these recalls in general and just what's happening, because I think a lot of people right now are just kind of at unease just with the recalls going on in the industry. But let's get into the Ford recall, and man, oh man, is it another, one after the other from Ford. This was from the 12th, from April 12th, the recall coming out from NHTSA. Over 456,565 vehicles affected. This is 500,000, close to almost 500,000 vehicles are affected here. This is over electrical systems and powertrain systems. This is regarding models from 2021 to 2021 to 2024 model year Ford Bronco Sport, and the super highly popular 2022 to 2023 Ford Maverick, which has already had, just issues with just production, being able to keep up with demand. And we have a really big recall affecting those two vehicles. Essentially what we've got going on in this recall here, the body powertrain control modules may fail to detect a change in the 12-volt battery state of charge. What that can do is that can cause a loss of electrical power to a variety of different accessories, hazard lights, or even a loss of drive power, especially on those hybrid models. It's, this kind of recall here that we have is something that can just, cause your infotainment system to crash and put you in limp home mode, or you could just be driving and this can literally you would just lose drive power. This is a really serious recall, a really serious recall that increases the risk of crash. This is a big recall because this is two models that are very popular from Ford, that they have trouble with demand, with keeping up with demand. We have a huge amount just of units affected, potential units, almost potentially half a million units affected here. This is a really serious recall here. What the remedy is, Ford does have a remedy for it. You're going to take your vehicle into a dealer. They're going to recalibrate that body control module and the powertrain control module. It's going to be free of charge. They don't say necessarily whether they're going to replace any sort of modules or anything. From what it sounds like they don't need to replace anything. But they just mention here that what they're going to do is just recalibrate those modules to prevent that from happening. And like I said here, we have the affected products, 2021 to 2024 model year Ford Bronco Sports. And we have the really popular 2022 to 2023 model year Ford Maverick. There have been a lot of recalls in the industry, especially in, not only in this year, but just in the, the recent years, as there's more awareness around these issues, there's more coverage around them. We see a lot more issues, back in the day, cars used to not be as safe. We didn't really find out a bit about issues there. A lot of cars would be death traps and things. It just wouldn't be safe. There just wasn't that kind of coverage, there wasn't that type of attention. So nobody was really ever focusing about it. And even if they were, honestly, most people didn't care. But nowadays we have just so much awareness, there's so many people who care about these issues, and just the mediums of, being able to put it out there. There's just so many sources, and there's so, demographic of consumption for viewers who want to see this type of news is just so high nowadays. So obviously, recalls have gotten more and more common. Some of the recalls are okay. Some of them, obviously, with certain brands, do, spell, things like quality control issues and things like that. Ford is one of the worser ones of, a lot of the brands. A lot of their recalls just tainted, like this recall here. This is essentially, in my opinion, a potentially catastrophic recall that affects an insane amount. Just a vast amount of vehicles. Two of their most popular sellers. And just the sheer amount of potential units. We're talking about over, potentially 500,000 units here affected. For Ford, we've seen them have a lot of recalls, and they tend to have some pretty serious recalls. So this, if you're looking at a Bronco Sport or a Maverick, which are two really, really, great vehicles for what they are, this doesn't spell a lot of consumer confidence for any consumer, whether you're considering a Maverick or not. Like I said, Ford just kind of tends to be, I always feel like they're on the worst side of this issue. They always have the double whammy, It's a popular model. It's a recent year. There's a ton of units that, they sold, and it's a serious catastrophic issue, This is, it's one thing for it to say, a hazard light or something may go out, but then to have the serious risk of, loss of drive power, that is a catastrophic recall. I don't want to necessarily, go too much and, kind of, put down Ford, but, Ford, like I said, they are one of the brands that they just have a lot of recalls, and their recalls never tend to spell any good news. Like I said, this is a serious recall here for Ford. In terms of, like I said, recalls in general, they are just more common in the industry nowadays, but when you see certain recalls, it's one thing to see a recall on an accessory or maybe a fuel pump or something like that, or even, maybe an infotainment system, a software thing. It's one thing to see something like that, but then, when you have a catastrophic recall in terms of, the potential injuries that can lead to it and just the potential number of units affected, this is not a good look for Ford, especially this is for the Ford Bronco Sport and the Ford Maverick. I mean, these are two vehicles. They sell a ton of these vehicles. They have trouble keeping up with demand with these vehicles. A lot of times, especially on the Maverick, you can still find over MSRP, especially if you're looking for those turbo models. This is just a really, really big recall here. Really catastrophic. Obviously, it's great that we do have a fix for it here. We did cover a recall a few days ago with Ford. Obviously, Ford, with some of their vehicles, and I believe the Bronco Sport was actually part of that vehicle, they didn't actually want to fix it correctly. They tried to come up with a fix, and then, they did not, address it correctly, and the NHTSA is investigating that. The fact that this just adds on to that for certain automakers, like I said, Ford is one of them. This is not a good look for Ford because this spells a lot of issues. Clearly, the engineering, the quality control is not there. This is a really, really big issue for Ford. We just did the Toyota recall. That was a pretty big recall as well. But generally you don't see too many of those type of recalls with Toyota and other people. But this is just, this is just bad on all angles. It's a catastrophic recall. It can lead to serious injury or even death, honestly. Two popular models, recent year models, some of them, one of them even, two of them current year models. Just 500,000 vehicles. This is just if you're Ford right now, this is a very, very tough time. Obviously, they do have the fix that, like I said, you are going to be able to go to the dealers. They're going to recalibrate those control modules, the powertrain modules. They'll probably do some, in that recalibration, they'll do probably some software updates and things as well. In terms of owner notifications, they're going to start emailing, sending letters May 13th. So if you are an owner of a Ford Bronco Sport or a Ford Maverick, starting next month, actually, or in about a little bit over that, be on the lookout. You will receive those recalls soon. But yeah, this is a big recall. This is a catastrophic recall. Like I said, we've already seen the Bronco Sport affected with other models, including in the last one with Escape. So hopefully this, with this model just being how popular it is, there isn't too many more recalls for Ford. But given that what I've seen with Ford, I wouldn't be surprised. But that's gonna be it for this one, guys. It's a catastrophic recall, and these are the type of recalls you don't want to see in the industry. But that's gonna be it for this, guys. Thanks for watching, everyone.